Survivor Resources came into my life after my little girl Michaela was murdered, September 5th of 2004.
My involvement with Survivor Resources started within days after I lost my wife in October of 2010.
Survivor Resources helped our family get back on track after we lost our nephew to homicide.
My daughter Sarah died from suicide 6 years ago when she was 17 years old.
Our daughter was murdered in 2010, and Survivor Resources has been there for us in many, many ways.
Survivor Resources came alongside us and brought sanity to a very insane event in our lives.
I think one of the things that's really distinguishing about Survivor Resources is they enter very humbly. And I think that's appropriate because at that moment in which suddenly all this weight is crashing in on you, you really want an organization that is knowledgeable, deeply compassionate, resourceful, and respectful.
Our goal is to help families after homicide, suicide, and accidental death. That's a new experience for most people. And so there are a lot of unanswered questions and things that they're not sure of. And so our goal is to be there to help those families. And we do outreach. We contact them and reach out to them to help them get their questions answered, help them meet their practical needs, and to be there to provide emotional support for them.
Survivor Resources helps provide emotional support and guidance through the court system.
Survivor Resources assists with the homicide cases by answering a lot of the questions that families that are involved in these tragedies have. Many times investigators are out investigating the crime and can't get back to the family right away. Survivor Resources can step in, answer all these questions, and help the family deal with a tragic situation that they're involved with.
One of the really strong points for Survivor Resources is that when we reach out to families after a homicide particularly, we're able to help law enforcement give information to them about the case so that they hear it first from law enforcement or from us, so that they're not learning information about their loved one through the media.
The resources, kind of the personal resources that are offered are invaluable. Number one, it helps, it helps the family through the process. And sometimes, unfortunately, you have a spouse or brother or sister or a child that witnessed, this event that are going to be called to the stand. And you have one time to make an impression. If we didn't have Survivor Resources, there could be a lot more emotional trauma out there than there is already.
Without Survivor Resources, I'm sure we would have been lost in a system that we didn't understand.
It's important to remember the mission of Survivor Resources as a place where people that have experienced a similar type tragedy can connect in very meaningful ways and to be guided through the discussions by very experienced staff.
When I started going to Survivor Resources support groups, it was very intimidating. I was coming into a bunch of strangers that I did not know, and I felt welcomed right away. We're put into groups depending on the cause of death, homicide, suicide, or sudden accidental death.
So Survivor Resources, they hold groups that are run all by survivors for survivors, which is a lot different than other support groups.
Survivor Resources helped us to feel safe, connected with others, and a very necessary part of the beginning of trying to sort through all of this and to continue with the grief and the changes that it definitely causes for the rest of your life.
Survivor Resources offers a place where you can bring your deepest thoughts, your emotional feelings, good and bad, regarding any tragedy that they're there to help you with.
When I started coming to the groups, I realized that there's other people out there that understand what it is that I'm going through, that they've been through very similar experiences as me, and they came through it and they were able to go on with their lives. And so I realized if they could do it, so could I.
The feelings, the sense of loss that you feel over the lifetime will always be there. What Survivor Resources can do is provide you with ways that you can start to feel, number one, normal, and to find ways and strategies to start to rebuild your life, to make new connections. And for that, I think that Survivor Resources does a very commendable job.